TinaO here from TinaO Life, and this is another episode of Stories from the Car. Meep Meep. Meep Meep is the name of my car. It's my cute little pet name for my car. Meep Meep. Actually, though, the car, and I love my car. Thank you, Toyota Matrix. Toyota Matrix, love you. And the car one day that you will hear me talk about is Stories from the Car with TinaO. Meep Meep, or I don't know what it'll sound like, but I've always wanted an electric Jeep. That's what I'm holding the vision for. Anyway, I digress. I haven't even said hello yet. I'm already on a tangent. So, Stories from the Car is a play on words of Story from the Core. I am a core story specialist. I'm a professional listener. I work with people as they bring to life and language the call inside of them. I listen in to each individual. I help them identify the narrative, or what I would call the divine narrative, or almost like the fingerprint in words of their being. And then often people find me when they feel compelled to do or give or share and communicate something. And that's from that sort of called place. So together we listen in to that, and I help them to design the system of how that message wants to be delivered, be it a book or a keynote or their online program or their online presence and all that. So that's kind of what I do. And these stories from the car are a listening into one particular word that we want to really dive into. And today, the word that I invite us to listen into together is value. And, truthfully, I get hits on things just because, like, a word just sort of rumbles in and then it doesn't want to leave my consciousness. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's the word. So this word of value is what I invite us into today. And even as I say it, in a really sort of mundane, boring, same meaning of a same word, right? Mundane, boring. Anyway, dive in is I've got this box of chicken strips in the back of my car and 2 tubes of ground beef. I am fortunate enough during this pandemic and this stuckness in, staying where I live, where the local pub has agreed to bulk order for members of the community from one of their service providers, Cisco. And so we all placed orders, which saves us from having to go into, the heart of Vancouver and go shopping, the city I live closest to. And so value for me, I was looking at this box of chicken strips going, wow, that's a $60 box of chicken strips. Is that enough chicken strips? Like, really? I'm thinking value. Is there a lot of value for that? And then of course I have to do that thing. I'm a mom of 3 kids, everything has a tangible value. Went to the back of the car. I opened it up. I'm like, okay, there's 2 bags of chicken strips in here. There's some good value for that. There's some good value in that. So value can take on this sort of tangible, in, out kind of, I put this in, I get this out. That's like tangible value. And I get that. And then there's the value of, and look, I didn't have to pay for gas. There's no carbon footprint or very little carbon footprint for me to go and get it. I didn't have to deal with traffic. I didn't have to deal with people. I didn't have to deal with this virus out there. Wow, there's a lot of value for that. So, if I had to go out there and do it myself, would it have cost me less in dollars? Yeah. But would it have cost me the same in time, in effort, in exposure? Oh my gosh, would it cost me, or could it cost me, a lot more? So again, though, I'm still looking at it through this in-out lens, what I put in and what I get out. The other way we look at values, right, is our personal value. What we personally value. So when I look at, being able to support the community that supports me, I'm able to potentially, my assumption is that this particular business owner has marked things up a little bit, and so they should, because they're taking on the effort of doing all this and organizing it, and they want to stay afloat too. So I value my community. Therefore, I'm going to spend some, maybe it cost me an extra $10 or $5, whatever. $20 and it goes right into their pocket. Okay, but again, I'm still looking at value from this in out. What I put in, what I get out. In this place, I might be putting love in and I'm getting food out. But like, what if value wasn't such a conversation about in out or scales? And what if value took on a different meaning? What if value was about honor or dignity or decency or love or respect or simply reverence? Well, reverence isn't very simple, is it? What if value, what I value, didn't have an exchange attached to it? You know, I know that there are people who do their whole business and pricing systems about I price my products based on what people value. You know what makes me nuts? I'm going to come like right out here and say this. It makes me nuts that some entrepreneurs or business owners price their products based on what the market will bear, or based on this understanding that if somebody really wants it, or if somebody really is going to get value out of it, then they will pay whatever the dollar is for that value. Again, it's an in out, right? So someone might be investing $20,000 into a program because they're going to reap, 4 years worth of revenue out of it because, their mind's going to be blown. Their systems are going to be awesome now. They're totally, ready to take on the world because they've learned all these new things. True. But what if that person doesn't have $20,000? What if that person only has $5,000 and they've got to borrow $15,000 to get to the 20? I don't need to be right about this or wrong about this. I'm not trying to start an argument here about this. I'm trying to inquire into the word value. We spend a fair bit of time talking about self-care. And, are we taking enough downtime in our lives to balance what we put out there? Are we getting enough sleep? As women, have you had a hot bath? Are you going for that manicure? Are you having that little bit of extra sleep in the morning? Did you buy that special coffee? And again, we put this, it's like we're okay with self-value around feeling taken care of. But once we get into this entrepreneurial landscape, it's not about that at all. Because if someone, and of course, I'm pointedly, moving in the direction of that example of what if someone doesn't have $20,000? Well, they're going to make $80,000 from it, therefore they should borrow it to get it. So I'm just opening up this idea of where is the self-care of borrowing against what you have now for what you could have later. We certainly are moving away from that in our self-care. We would never say to somebody, hey, hit the bottom of your energy, hit the bottom of your physical ability, and let's borrow 15,000, hours or 15,000 breaths. Let's hold your breath for 15,000 seconds because you're going to have 80,000 breaths. You're going to have banked 80,000 breaths. You're going to have 80,000 more breaths later. We don't do that. And we would never do that. And I know I'm using a really basic example, but I'm doing it on purpose because we either value self as a living organism with the beautiful limitations of our being, meaning we live in a physical body, There is physical time. Physical, well, you know what I'm saying. There is measurable time, or there is a measurable construct of time. There is also the measurable construct of money that we've created. Milk, where I live, costs $6.99 for 4 liters. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. We live in a body. That's just the truth. And anyone who's ever been ill will go, oh yeah, hey, holy Dinah, I didn't even know I lived in a body until I got sick. That would be me. Well, actually, before I got sick, all of a sudden I became aware, oh my gosh, you live in a body. Yeah, you live in a body. So value, value isn't, I'm putting on the table, value isn't this malleable or shape-shifting thing. What if value was actually something that we made real for us? What if value was something that we saw as real, held as real, honored as real, and kind of planted it in the ground and said, this is real for me. I value me. I value my time. I value my revenue or my cash flow. I value my ideas. I value my belief systems. I value what I stand for. I value the people in my life, and I don't expose them to things that might put them at risk. I value this moment. How might we live if value wasn't about an exchange at all, but was actually about our place in the sun, our time on this planet, our feet in this earth, this time. And by time, I am talking about time, but I'm also just talking about our turn. This is our turn. Oh my gosh, it's my turn. I got this, another 365 days. I got another turn. Woo! What if we valued our turn? How might that change the decisions we make? Be mindful about those kind of intoxicating or challenging sentences. If you really valued yourself, if you really valued your business, if you really valued your gifting, you would do this, because when you do this, you'll get that. That's not value, that's trade. That's trade. That's scales. That's measuring. That's not value. Value doesn't have a dollar figure on it. Value doesn't have a time stamp on it. Value is what value is for you. I'm wearing a piece of jade that my mom gave me in the first year that I met her, because I'm adopted, and we met when I was 28, so 20 years ago. And in this time of the pandemic, I found myself going, oh, I really want to wear that piece of jade. And it's broken, the little clasp on it has come off, but I really wanted to wear it. And so I kind of jimmied this, wire thing through it so that I could wear it, because I value it. You couldn't put a dollar figure on it. You couldn't put a time stamp on it, and I would never trade it. This is what I invite you to take a look at around what you value. What you value, you likely would never trade unless you were trading it for something you value even more. And what I mean by that is, if I had to give up my piece of jade for my child doesn't have a price on it, doesn't have a time stamp on it. And in that vein, this just becomes a piece of rock. You get where I'm going with this? What might value do or mean or be in life if it was actually valued? I'm TinaO from TinaO Life, and this is Stories from the Car. Meep, meep. I'm parked in my car outside the store right now. and talking to you about the word value. Follow along with me. Come on back next week, and we'll have another word that we dive into. Stay well, everybody. Stay well, and thank you, as always, for listening.